United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to our meeting tonight. Our city commission and most of the city staff, I think just about everybody in here, has spent the day together learning how to communicate better with one another and with our citizens. Good training. And next element here in town, Nate Regier and his crew put it on, so we're thankful for them. Been a long day, so we're looking forward to working through this meeting and being able to go home to our families. First item of business up for tonight is our consent agenda. Is there any discussion or motion on that?
I move to approve.
I will second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. Next item up for tonight, we will receive a request to close Main Street from 5th Street to 8th Street on March 7th, 2022 for the Newton Kansan Show. Denise.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. We have a request from the Newton Kansan Show, and they are wanting to close Main Street from 5th Street all the way to 8th Street. 8th Street is a new street that they have added, plus then some of the side streets. And this would be on May 7th. And they were asking to close the streets probably at 7 o'clock already. The event starts at 8, and then the event would be ending at 4, and they would close the streets or open those streets back up after they had everything cleaned up. So staff has talked about this and would recommend going ahead and approving the request.
I move
I
that we
second.
approve that request.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, next up, we'll have some discussion on this one tonight. Item number 5 is consider the dates for sales and discharge of fireworks for July of 2022. Denise, you'll start us on this.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, so in your packet, you have a memo showing that the dates of sale and discharge for the last couple years when we've had them, and we've had typically about a 4-day sale and discharge. We have some people who have requested that we go ahead and do June 27th, which is state law. They allows you to sell from June 27th to July 5th. Tonight you need to decide what times and dates you want to sell and discharge, and then also the performance bond as well as the permit fee. That has been $2,500 for a permit fee and $1,000 performance bond, which is refundable once the property is cleaned up and staff has checked that out. So I know that we have a number of people who have talked about it, that you might have received some information in an email from some different people about that. And this year, the 4th of July falls on a Monday for you to take that into consideration. And I have added the dates, like I said, of previous sales and discharge in there. I will tell you that the best practice has been to allow sales and discharge on the same days, and that keeps everybody from running around after people that have shot something off, even though you could buy it during that time.
Okay. I know we do have some people here tonight to discuss this, so you're here. Is there anybody else here to discuss fireworks tonight? Okay, and you as well. We did receive a letter from Trinity Muth. Do we need to read that or anything, or is it?
There's no requirement, but you could read it into the record just for the benefit of those that might be watching at home. It's
Okay.
completely up to you. Your discretion, Mayor.
Sure. Why don't I start with this, and then whichever one of you would like to come forward, you can. Yeah, just for those that are at home watching. This was dated January 11th. Dear Commissioners, as most of you know, I'm a prosecuting attorney, and I just happened to be in a murder trial in Manhattan, Kansas today. I was hopeful to be able to make the meeting tonight, but I don't know that I can make it back in time for the 7 o'clock meeting. I really appreciate the opportunity I had to discuss the 2022 season and beyond at the December meeting. As I discussed during the meeting, I believe the city is missing out on significant tax revenue. We are typically at our firework building the days leading up to the season opening in Newton. We have several cars daily pulling up trying to get inside. I typically engage with everyone who shows up, and a majority of them are coming from other jurisdictions. Most Newton residents know we are not open yet. During my conversations with these potential customers, I try to encourage them to come back when we open. However, most say they don't really want to drive to Newton twice. This past year, I was able to send several customers to our Mound Ridge location. This was good for our business, for McPherson County, but did little for the city of Newton or Harvey County. The dollar amount of these sales was significant. When we were open, my staff and I engage in conversation with the majority of our customers. During these conversations, we constantly hear, "I wish we would have had waited to buy all of our product in Newton." Many customers tell us, "We work in Wichita and they open on June 27th, so we just went ahead and bought most of our fireworks there." It is truly amazing how many people tell us they just can't help themselves. As soon as the 4th of July season hits, they stock up on fireworks and will drive to whoever is open. I understand the desire to limit the disruption in our community to a minimum with the discharge of fireworks. The reality is, people simply love celebrating the independence of our country, and fireworks will always be discharged. I think we can actually accomplish both goals. The first goal is to keep business local and bring in revenue from residents outside of Newton. This is no different than organizations trying to bring in MAYB tournaments to benefit the city. Obviously, the more people we have traveling to Newton, the more people who stop at gas stations, restaurants, or other attractions in our community. The second goal is to try and keep everyone happy, as can be, whether they enjoy shooting fireworks off or disapprove of the practice. I believe we can do what many of the communities around us do. We are requesting a sales season of June 27th through July 4th and limit shooting of fireworks to June 30th to July 4th. By doing this, we put all vendors in a competitive advantage to the surrounding communities. People who typically buy early in Wichita can now buy in Newton and store the fireworks for the few days until the discharge date starts. If there are violators, those same violators would be a problem anyway, as they are already buying fireworks prior to the time Newton authorizes sales. If you consider North Newton from Newton, the residents of North Newton are able to come over and buy fireworks, but my understanding is those residents have to wait until just the 4th to shoot off fireworks. Obviously, we don't want to limit shooting to just the 4th of July because that prevents repeat buyers from coming into our stores and other tents and reduces tax revenue for lost sales. Please consider our request, and as always, I appreciate all of your time and dedication to our community. Trinity Muth. Thank you. Either one of you may come forward and speak to the issue if you'd like to. If you would just state your name and address first for us.
My name is Kent Lineber, and we have the fireworks facility on 1601 South Anderson. Okay. And we also have a couple other sites too. And we've run into the same thing that guys, when the state opens the 27th, they're all anxious to go by, and they'll go by other places, even though they can't shoot them off yet. And so we're not asking to extend the days to shoot them off, but just the days to sell. And I think it would make a pretty good difference and a sizable increase in the sales tax, too, that we could generate for the county and city here. So we appreciate your concern and interest in that, and I think it would be great for the city and the county as well. So we appreciate your interest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir? Sir?
Did you have, yeah.
I appreciate the sizable impact on the sales. What percentage or what dollar amount do you can you put to each day in sales tax?
Well, there's days that we'll see close to 5 figures, and you translate into sales tax, it could be a really nice amount. And you know, quite a few of the customers, they will come back and sometimes second time, but they've already said they've bought quite a few fireworks already, and we have really competitive price, I think, here in the city, and they would come here first if we were open. I think they just get anxious, and this last year or so, you know, supply chain issues too, they were worried, nervous that they were going to be available, so they went the first place they could go, and I think we're just missing out on a good sizable share there. So.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Hi, my first meeting here. It's nice to be
Well, welcome.
here.
We're glad you're here.
Lynn Lavenant, well, maybe not so after I get done. All I wanted to say, and I'm kind of, looks like I'm kind of voted out on this, but I think last year is really why I got so upset. And I think, am I right, it was the 30th up until the 5th? Is that right? And it just really seemed to be a little too much, and I must say I'm a doggy person, and my poor little dog just about went crazy. But I understand the Independence Day and that situation, but in our area, and I live over on the southeast part of town, when in the mornings when they were starting, they would start earlier. And when the cutoff time was 10 o'clock, it was 11 o'clock. And then when it was 11 o'clock on the 4th, it went way over past midnight. And the fireworks that we're getting in our area are the really, really big ones. And so I don't know where they're getting them or what the situation is. And if I call in, they ask, well, what area? And I can't give them the Pacific area, but just, you know, the area. So if things were being followed by the regulation and the law and from time and cutoff time, if that was it, it would be a completely different situation for me. But it just goes on and on and on. And after a while, you know, enough is enough. We're glad we're free. We're thankful for our freedom. And I think a lot of that just gets to a point to where with a lot of people, that's really not quite why they're doing this. It's because they have the opportunity to go out and get these illegal fireworks and continue to shoot them off until 12:30, 1 o'clock, and even past that. So I just have a real problem with it going on from the 30th to the 5th, and I know some of them are just the 4th to the 5th, and I know people that sell them, that's a good income for them, and they're wanting to do that. But I think if the days were shortened, the only thing that would, you know, people would just buy more at a shorter amount of time. I don't think it would hurt the process of that. But anyway, that's where I stand on that, and just kind of, and I think I'm speaking for puppies too.
Yeah. Well, we've all been commissioners for a few years, and we've heard those concerns from other people, so you're not alone, even though you might be the only one speaking tonight. So we
Yeah.
appreciate you coming and sharing with
Okay.
us on
Well,
that
thank you
tonight.
very
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion that we need to have about this evening?
I think I have some things I'd like
Sure.
to share.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, let me say that in the past, I brought the schedule and how we have voted in the past. And I grew up in the days when you had Independence Day celebration on that day. And it certainly, you had an appreciation for that day and that celebration. We don't do that anymore. And I have chosen to vote as I have in the past because I have sought to just choose my battles and not let that be a battle that I would want to have. I have appreciated the correspondence that we have received. I asked for permission to share a few of these comments from someone who sent, and I think she may have sent a message to everyone, but it caused me to reflect once again on things that perhaps we have forgotten. Independence Day is a day to celebrate our country's independence, but it is a difficult holiday for those who served to give us this independence. Many veterans struggle this time of year. Fireworks are difficult for them to hear. I think, and this is the lady that wrote this, extending this deadline is not respectful to this population. Not to mention that many dogs struggle with anxiety, and I know that too personally because we have two. And an increased load is placed on our EMS and hospital workers, first responders, really, all of you. There are several days to shoot fireworks, too many perhaps. I do not think extending the days is appropriate. I just had a chance to look at this, what Mr. Muth, I think, has written. I want to be as respectful as I can to those who have a business, and I certainly want to be respectful to you too for your business. I understand that. But I think we have lost sight to some degree of what Independence Day means. I applaud North Newton for doing it the old way, the way that we used to do it. I applaud them for that. Mr. Muth does say that people simply love celebrating the independence of our country, and fireworks will always be discharged. I think people do appreciate Independence Day, but I don't think all people appreciate days on end of fireworks going off and on. And I know how I feel about it personally. If it was up to me personally, it would probably be just July the 4th, because I appreciated it when I was growing up that way. So having said that, I don't know if I should entertain a motion. I would be willing to entertain a motion if there's any support for that, but I won't bother if there's not, for settling on July the 2nd, which is a Saturday, through the 4th. So can we do that?
Yes, procedurally you may. However, I would recommend, Mayor, are there any other commissioners that want to make comments? And/or I would also respectfully defer to our chiefs who take those calls in response every year. As far as, like, have we seen increased 911 calls and complaints, or decreases, or the amount of emergency EMS calls? So since both of the chiefs are here, you might ask their expertise on that.
Yeah, what I think I'd like to do is, Kathy, if you want to add anything else, please feel free.
No, I'm done with that.
If any other commissioners would like to speak to the issue now, we can, and then if not, we'll let the chiefs, if they would like to speak, either one of them.
Also, as Denise pointed out, I think your motion's going to contain not only the discharge dates,
Yep.
but the sale dates, and then also there's one fee involved? There's two fees as well. So
The permit fee and the performance bond.
And that would be part of the motion. Should we?
You'll hit those four
whatever
elements.
we decide.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. Any other commissioners want to speak to this? I mean, we can speak again when the chiefs are done if we want to, but if you guys want to speak now, you can. If not, I'll turn it over to them.
I thought I might read the city manager of North Newton. I got an email from him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he said, last year you approved discharge on July 3rd until midnight, and I appreciate that decision. He said, unfortunately, with the 10 o'clock cutoff, there's hardly any true darkness to enjoy aerial displays. So it looks to me, I don't know what North Newton's going to do, but it looks to me like he might try to talk his commission into extending, their hours instead of. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing. I don't think they've made that decision yet, have they?
Yeah. No. Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. So anyway, you've got a younger city manager that likes to light fireworks. It looks like he wants to light them a little bit longer, apparently, than they used to. So.
I did speak to one of our, and I don't remember the specific name. I know who it is, and I'll leave him out of it. He didn't give me permission to talk tonight on his behalf, but I did. He owned one of the fireworks tent last year, and he uses local sports teams or whoever to help staff his tent. And he did say that they are going to have to make some decisions in the future if we're not willing to go further, because they are losing a lot of sales. He also has a tent in Valley Center as well, and they're losing a lot of sales, and it's a lot of inventory to purchase and bring here and set up, pay these teams, and they use it as a fundraising opportunity. So I feel like it's worthy of sharing that. He shared that with me after the 4th of July season, and we know each other not from city business, but Boy Scouts. And so I think it's fair to mention that tonight, that it does affect, I believe, and I sympathize with the dogs. We have one at home ourselves that doesn't like the loud noises, but it does affect their sales when we don't allow them more time to sell. So I think that's reasonable.
Well, I spoke with both of the chiefs as well as several residents and everything, and I can appreciate going, Friday through the holiday, Monday, adjusting the hours accordingly for workers on Friday and workers on Monday, and maybe opening it up to the later hours for the Saturday and Sunday. But I think the chiefs should have an opportunity to speak.
Sure.
So I would just like to say that I would certainly be in favor of going to the June 27 sales and then the discharge starting 2 days later on the 29th, and the hours that you were referring to, that makes sense to me.
The one thing I think we need to discuss too is, if we have this, is that the 4th is on a Monday, correct? Is that what we said? Mm-hmm. And in years past, it looks like we've allowed sales and discharge on the 5th as well, which takes it into Tuesday. So I would make that note tonight that we probably need to consider that when we do it, if we want to.
I think the last time we had a 4th of July on a Monday, Denise, the clerk, said that we ran June 30th through July 4th.
Okay.
Is that correct, Denise?
Part of the reason that we did the 5th last year was because that was a day off. So the 4th was on a Sunday, which everybody had that Monday off on the 5th. And that was one of the reasons that was done for that time.
Okay. Chiefs, would either of you like to comment on this?
Sure, if you have questions or anything like that. I've been doing this a long time, and we've experienced a lot of different ways that over the years, there's a lot of confusion between the sales and discharge times and dates. And once they purchase, they have a hard time sitting them on the table and not firing them off for 3 days. It's like a child getting a toy, but you're not allowed to play with it for 3 more days. And it's just not going to happen. Folks are just going to shoot that off. And then our folks are going to be taking those kinds of calls, rightfully so, but then we'll have to prioritize whether we can or we cannot respond to those kinds of calls, because if we've got other things going on, and that lends to confusion to our citizens as well, because why aren't the police responding? Because that's a really low priority call. So there's a lot of confusion that comes along with it when you're not allowed to discharge the same time that you can sell. So, and then I want to caution folks it's not a fair comparison between the city of Newton when you purchase fireworks and say Wichita, for example. Wichita has very specific laws that they don't allow certain heights of fireworks to go any higher than so many feet, and folks that discharge those kinds of fireworks in Wichita can be cited a substantial amount of money on that. So we always tell people, wherever you purchase your fireworks, that's where you discharge, whether it's be in Newton and McPherson or it's in Wichita or Mountain Ridge, it doesn't really matter. I think that's just a good cautionary thing we need to pass on to our folks as well. So if you're allowed to purchase in Newton, then you're allowed to shoot those fireworks off in Newton. So I just want to be clear on that. So my advice is, and just for my folks and their sanity as well, and so we're not in confusion with our citizens, whatever the dates are, I'll let you guys decide that, is the allowed discharge once purchase has been made in Newton. So.
Thank you.
I would echo what Chief Dunleavy had said. In years past, with the exception of, I believe it was in 2007, is that when the ice storm was? 2005, where there was literally thousands of brush piles throughout the city. We haven't seen a market increase of call volume strictly associated to fireworks related incidents. Again, what Chief Dunleavy, I would respectfully request just to reduce confusion, to eliminate putting staff in a difficult, and that sale and discharge be the same dates and not have 2 different dates.
And Denise, when is what's the state requirement on when you can start discharge?
State law allows from the 27th of June to July 5th.
Okay.
That you can start selling at that time as well as discharging at that time.
Well, I can certainly see where that would be less duties for your officers if you do that, them both the same.
And if I may, Commissioners, also, every year after 4th of July, the chiefs graciously provide us a report, and that also comes from Central Communications. So we get all of the call volumes, and whether it was just a complaint call or, an EMS call. And the last 2 years, I believe, gentlemen, we have seen a decrease in the call volume 2 years in a row for all of the communities in Harvey County through those calls, just for what it's worth. That's what the data is showing. I like the data. So.
Yeah. Any other discussion?
I would just tell you that we had 13 people purchase permits last year, and it was about $32,500 at the 2,500. We didn't We didn't keep any of the $1,000 bonds, I don't think.
Okay. Well, if there's no more discussion, we might be ready for a motion if somebody would like to make one. We will
Well,
need.
I'm going,
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you
I will
already make?
I will make an attempt. I will move, again, with, I'm assuming that we leave the fees as they are. The $1,000 performance bond, and then the $2,500 fee. We didn't really have any discussion on that, but we have to be I guess, that has to be decided before we can do.
I'm fine with keeping those numbers the same.
Okay?
Are these going to be separate decisions, or are we going to have them all?
No, they can be all one, and I can give you an ordinance number if you would
Yeah.
like that right now.
Give us
Okay.
the ordinance number and then.
Sure. So
So can I move?
you can make that
Yeah, she's
motion,
gonna
and
give us an
I'll give you an ordinance number here.
And then you can, yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to be 5066-22.
Okay, now Commissioner Valentine, if you'd like to make a motion, you can.
Well, I did appreciate Rich's mention of July the 1st through the 4th. I could accept that. So I will move that we, and I don't know about times, I guess, times as far as what we've had in the past, assuming that we would agree to sale times of 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., and sale times of 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on the 4th itself, because that's what I'm looking at here on some of these. Do we need to establish those times first before we, okay, so we have the fees established, now we need to establish the times.
You also have the dates.
And
I'm hearing July 1st.
I'm saying July 1st through the 4th.
And that is to keep sales and discharge that same time frame.
Yes,
Okay, sorry, and this is a little bit of a complicated one. Make sure
Yeah.
we get all our i's dotted here.
yes.
So are you also saying that you want the sales and discharge from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on the 1st through the 3rd, and then 7 a.m. to,
We did 7 a.m. to 10 on 1 year.
for the sales?
No, yes, that's right, that's right. And discharge, it looks like we did 7 a.m. to midnight.
Correct.
Which what's that?
On the Saturday, Sunday should probably be the 7 a.m. to midnight for the discharge, because those are weekend nights and not work nights, and that's kind of in
That's typically
time.
what we've done in the past when it's been on a weekend or on that day off, as Commissioner mentioned earlier.
So that would be 3 days.
So the 1st through the 4th, it's 4 days of selling and discharging. And we're doing 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then 7 a.m. to midnight on July the 1st. Or Rich, did you suggest the whole weekend?
No, friendly suggestion.
Okay.
10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Friday the 1st and Monday the 4th for discharge. 7 a.m. to midnight for Saturday and Sunday, the 2nd and 3rd for discharge. And then sales would be the 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., Monday the 4th.
Is that your motion, Kathy?
That is it. Yes, that's my motion.
Is there a second for that motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Rich.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Aye. Okay, that motion does not carry. Is there somebody that'd like to make a new motion or further discussion about that?
Or if you guys were comfortable with the fees and comfortable with the hours, we could just amend the dates. That would be
Okay.
acceptable
Okay,
for a new motion.
I move that we have sales and discharge from June 27 through July 4.
okay. And Commissioner Kane, would you help us with dates or with times on those? Let's do day by day. So 27th, I'm going to pull up my calendar here just so we're all on the same page. I'll just lead our discussion. Okay, on the 27th, that's a Monday. Monday. So let's do a sale and discharge. In years past, we have done 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. virtually every day for sales except for the 4th.
Yes.
Is that what you
And that's
want?
kind of what you guys were
Correct.
talking about earlier, like the weekdays when people are going to typically have to go to work, that was the 10 PM cutoff
Okay.
in the past.
So, okay. Okay, and then on discharge on those days, which are all weekdays, that brings us up until the 1st. So the 27th through the 30th are weekdays. What would discharge times be?
10 p.m.
10 to 10 still, okay. Okay, and then on the 30th, or the 1st, I'm sorry, the 1st, July 1st is a Friday. 1st and 2nd and 3rd, that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So 7 a.m. to midnight.
For sell and discharge?
For discharge.
Discharge, okay.
We already have the sale of 10 to 10, correct?
Might I suggest that the 4th of July, but people are going to be not going to work that day anyway, and they're going to be up till, we've always, in the past, have allowed the discharge till midnight. I will just
Yeah, so-
tell you that, so.
Commissioner Kane, what we've done in the past is 7 to 10 on sales, and then 7 to midnight on discharge.
So let's do the 7 to midnight on the discharge.
Okay, so 7 to 10 on sales and 7 to 12 on discharge, the 1st through the 4th?
Yes.
Okay. Did you get that, Denise? Okay. Please do, let's just make sure we're on the same page. Every year, this is a difficult conversation because there's so much involved. Yeah. Go ahead, yeah, okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion, a second. If you want to go ahead and repeat that information, we'll vote on it.
Okay, we have sales and discharge from July 27th, or June 27th to July 4th, with sales and discharge from June 27th to June 30 from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then sales from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. on July 1st through 4th, and discharge on July 1st through 4th from 7 a.m. to midnight.
Okay. Thank you. That's what I have too. Commissioner Kane, is that what you intended?
Correct.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Let's take a vote on this. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That motion carries. All right, item number 6 this evening, consider a resolution to discontinue funding of the Newton Home Repair Program.
Yes.
Kelly and Chris both will take this one.
Okay, I will start off, and Chris can tag me out or make sure I'm getting everything correct here. So there is also a more detailed memo in your packet, as well as a letter from Newton Home Repair, which does business as Hope Home Repair. You may be more familiar with that name for the program. In 2011, the city did enter into an agreement, an MOU, that utilized the city's existing CDBG, which is Community Development Block Grant Funding, which is provided by HUD from the federal government. And it was specifically for the repair of certain older structures to people who are probably the most in need of the help with repair. So typically they have to be very limited income, maybe a widow or widower, on a pension, those kind of things. And the money could only be used for specific types of repair. It could be used for roofs or for HVAC or hot water heaters or windows, basically to keep your home structurally sound. It couldn't be used like, you might have really ugly shag carpeting. I'm sorry, it's ugly, but we can't replace it. But your windows that are just covered with cardboard because they're broken, that's definitely not benefiting your home or your energy bills. And it was very limited because of CDBG's requirements. It was kind of tough to find people that fit the program sometimes, but those that did qualify were incredibly grateful over time. About a couple of years ago, the folks that were in charge of Hope, most of them were working other full-time jobs, and this was also a part-time, just volunteer gig for them. And if they were paid, it was very, very minimal salaries. Both of them were getting ready to retire due to some health issues for one, and the other one was just at a point where she's ready to retire from her day job as well. and they began seeking some assistance to maybe see if somebody wanted to take the program over, and Hope has its board of directors as well. After some time, when they realized that really wasn't going to be possible, the board decided that it was just time for them all to retire, and they have officially dissolved the company, the 501 that they were with the state of Kansas. That has been completed, and they have put a letter of request to you to go ahead and formally dissolve our MOU. What that will do for us, if we accept that, which staff recommends that you do, please, we will be able to reutilize that same funding, and we will roll the remaining funds into our new weatherization program. And so that will also help beef up that program, and the funds will be used in a very similar manner. It's weatherization type, structural type projects. So that will be helpful for us to do as well. All of the existing loans that are out there, basically we made low to no interest loans for these people through promissory notes. When they sell the property or it changes hands, that money is repaid to the city and will go back to that account over time. So, and that remains the same even if the MOU dissolves. So I would be incredibly remiss if I did not thank the board and their staff, Kathy and Neil, for many years of dedicated work to some of the most in need in our community. They have been wonderful for me to work with. They have taken crazy phone calls from me and questions about, what about this? Does this qualify? What about this person? And they've been very gracious and always helpful. So we would be remiss if we didn't express our sincerest gratitude to them.
So because those funds are going into the weatherization program, how is the weatherization program going? Has it been utilized yet? I know it's new.
It's new, and honestly, when we began the program, it was right as the seasons were changing. And so some of those projects we really anticipate will be more spring-related upcoming. Okay. And Rebecca has been working with Miss Erin and some others on ways we can really target specific homes, specific neighborhoods, and do the outreach to those that qualify. We talked about targeting the corridors for the community at first and then working inwards, the target areas of town, the older areas of town, obviously, that need, they're probably the most homes that need the most work right now as they age.
Thank you.
I think the realtors showed some interest in a little bit of sweat equity in some of that.
We've had several groups that were wanting to maybe do some volunteer work in conjunction with those properties and these funds for weatherization to make them go further.
You have a resolution number?
That would be G-1268.
I would make the motion that we approve resolution G-1268 to dissolve the MOU with great sadness for home hope repair and to direct that money into the weatherization program.
I will second. Okay. There's a motion in 2 seconds. All right. Well, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. That passes. All right. Next up on our item tonight to discuss is consider a real estate purchase and sales agreement with Slugito LLC, doing business as Midwest Transformers. And Chris and Suzanne will take this.
Yes, Commissioners, I'll start, and then Chris will wrap it up. We have a display on the screen, and this is two lots that Midwest Transformers approached the city. They have a business out at the airport, on the north end of the airport, and they were wanting additional space to expand, and they asked about these two lots. Oh, I see that in this memo it says lots W and 3. I think it's lots 2 and 3 of Block 1 of Airport Grow Now Addition. Each of these lots is 7.57 acres, so for a total of 15.14 acres. They have requested to purchase these. The purchase price would be $8,000 per acre. And we have a purchase agreement that is in the packet, but we have made a couple of alterations to that. And one other thing that I would comment to, and then I'll turn it over to Chris, is in item 37 and 38 of the purchase agreement, there's discussion about extension of utilities and waivers of out-of-district fees. The expectation would be that the properties would not pay out-of-district fees. We extended water and sewer mains out to the airport, not expecting to have adjacent properties pay as we go along the way, that those costs were paid by the city at large or through the bulk utility rates. And so we would waive those fees for them to be able to tie on should they build a building that would need utilities.
And further, we've made a few amendments since Thursday. Suzanne recently, just before the meeting, received a signed version, but with a slight amendment. So given that you're not looking at the same version that the potential purchaser has signed, we're not asking for action to approve it. We're simply asking for direction. So not only the provisions that Suzanne talked about, if you have any questions about that, but I'd also draw your attention to Section 11. This is the city's reversionary interest, which we've had in a number of these land sale agreements. Essentially, the city's selling it on the basis that the person's going to build on it and not necessarily sit on it. That provision is included. So right above in 10, if you look at E and F, we talk about an obligation to essentially develop a laydown space within 1 year. That's subsection E. And then we have subsection F, which talks about a building of no less than 6,000 square feet, subject to a building permit that's obtained before January 1 of 2026. However, the reversionary interest in the next section says you can do this or that. So it's a question from you in terms of your expectations on that reversionary interest. Of course, there's no requirement there's a reversionary interest. We can simply sell it to them and they can do what they want with it. We can use this requirement that you do both. We can say one or the other. We can amend it. So we're looking for direction. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I mean, if you want to ask staff, at a different time, you can reflect on it now, but that is an outstanding issue. Any other issues you have, we'll clean this up unless there's any concern of, no interest going forward, or if you have questions. But again, we're not asking for action tonight based on these final adjustments, but we would stand for questions, comments, concerns, anything else.
And the buyer has seen this version.
The buyer has seen the version, but you referred to, Chris, 10E and F, and I don't know that what I see doesn't have 10F.
And that was the last change that we had, is our EF was labeled as an EE. It was a typo. It was cleaned up.
Okay.
So
I just
we
wanted
just don't
to
have a
make sure
meeting of
they
the
were
minds.
following
Right.
this.
You've got the latest on your desk. We will talk to the potential purchaser if you're interested in going forward and getting on the same page, having the same version, bringing back a signed version if you're interested in going forward with this. This is not on the airport property, so the city can sell it. Oftentimes, if we're looking at the other side of the street, we can't sell it. We can only do long-term leases. The county is a partial owner, and it involves that process. Here, the city is an outright fee simple owner. There are still certain FAA regulations that Brian can talk to you about in terms of notice for development and building it, and those notices are in the PSA, but we don't have the same limitations as we do on the other side of Oliver.
Height of building is the
Sure,
key at this
right.
location.
Still subject to those regulations, but we can sell the land.
Right. There would remain one additional lot to the south along Oliver that is about 10 acres. And then there's a roughly 70-acre lot that, right there in that area. The remainder, the balance of that 160 acres is in long-term forever wildlife, not wildlife, I'm sorry, native planting area that was required and is a part of a detention pond that takes on water drainage from the airport. And a part of that process through the Corps of Engineers, we have to leave that in native plantings. And so these lots would be backing up to that area. And the purchaser is aware of that, and he's wants to finish it up.
Okay.
Well, I'm certainly in favor of moving ahead with getting together with the buyer, as we want more development and more jobs and all that.
So am I. Yeah, I'm as well.
Hearing that, staff will work with them to bring back a clean version at your next meeting.
And leaving this number 11 in. Did I hear you comment about that a little while
That's
ago?
right. Unless you feel strongly about it, I'm going to ask for staff to ask about whether that contingency should be an and or an or in terms of the development. But yes, we would be leaving it. We wouldn't be changing much of the substance. We'd just be cleaning it up.
And the signed copy that you have, this represents the signed copy that you have?
She got it slightly before the meeting. I want to
Got it
verify everything's right. And I want
after
to
the
clean up
meeting
my
started.
error. So.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else on that we need to do tonight?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, up next, item number 9, Main Street application. Rebecca, you're going to take this.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Wrapping you up today, I have another item for our Main Street application. As you know, we are continuing to work on it and meet as a group and do things individually, but we have a couple of last items here for you. The application itself is due at 5 p.m. on January 28th. It is a virtual application, so we're submitting it via form stack. So a lot of these items are going to have to be actually attached to it before I can hit the submit button. So what you have before you is a preliminary memorandum of agreement that basically would say that we would agree to the terms of the program if we were selected. And then a certification page that will need to be signed by the mayor and other applicable parties, including the city manager and the president of the Chamber of Commerce and some other items. Just looking for your approval on these items. The application will probably be being worked on electronically until the week of submission. And I can share that digital link with you if you wanted to review it, but there's not a clean way for me to print it for you. So I stand for any questions.
That's a lot of work pulling all these applications together, so thank you.
Of course, my pleasure.
All right. Well, thank you. Here we have 2 items. I think the first one, I guess is that what we just did? We just considered that, correct? Okay. And B, to consider the certification of the application, subject to the mayor's review and signature. Any discussion? If not, we'll consider that done. Okay.
You need a motion for that? Or?
That's right.
You will need a motion. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I move
Chris
that-
was shaking his head like it was good to go.
I thought you were getting there, sorry.
I move that we approve the preliminary MOA.
I second that.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Same sign. Thank you.
And then the certification.
I would make the motion that we certify the application subject to the mayor's review and signature.
I'd second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now it's officially done. All right, we did not have anybody signed up for the citizens forum tonight. Thank you to those who came, though, and spoke on behalf of the fireworks situation. We appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to come and do that. Let's go around. Commissioner Valentine.
Thank you to all the staff. I say this, I know every time, but I do sincerely mean it. Appreciate everything that you do. Thank you to our first responders. And Brian, you're back there too, and appreciate what you do out the airport. You're just doing an exemplary job. Thank you very much, all of you. And it was good that the leadership conference that we had today was good, and certainly a good refresher to, I would just say, understanding those and really discerning as you speak with others, the personalities that you are working with and dealing with. So I appreciated that time that we had today. So thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Kane.
I also appreciate working with staff. It's always good to learn new things and learn more about what our personalities are made of and how we can improve, and that is all.
Okay. Commissioner Sena.
It was a great day. Training is always good. Lively conversation was had by all. Lots of new insight as to how we can communicate and how we prefer to be communicated with and everything. So thank you for putting that together. Thank you to city staff for all attending.
Yeah. Commissioner Cry.
Don't have anything I can add
Okay.
to that.
Kelly.
Well, it's been out there already in the community, but, just for someone who might not have heard, we're having a birthday in a couple of weeks. On 2/22/22, Newton will be 150 years old. So it's a sesquicentennial, and I've been practicing a lot to be able to say it that way, and I still mess it up sometimes, so I'm still working on it. So we will be having special events throughout the year, but on that actual day, we're going to have a couple of events in the afternoon and evening at Meridian Center. It's a Tuesday, so it's a little difficult, and it's in February, so we wanted to pick something inside in case of the weather. But we will be planning a bigger community birthday party, so to speak, as the months get warmer. So I'm very thankful to everyone on our staff and others in the community that have been working on planning these events for 6, 8, 12 months now, and you're starting to see some advertisements and some swag out there. So please help us celebrate our amazing community.
Yeah. Chris?
No, sir.
Okay, Suzanne? Donna? Okay, well, I guess I get to close us in for tonight. Yeah, so Kelly passed out our new shirts. So I think that's worth noting. What a cool logo. I love it.
Where can they be?
I know that some of the community helped
Are they
make that.
available for sale?
Do you recall? Yeah, okay, yeah. So first day available for sale will be the birthday celebration. And we will have, that is the official logo. And it was drawn by a community, Ben
Meyer.
Ben Meyer, yeah. So he has designed that for us. So,
School district.
yeah, he works for the school district.
Yeah, great. And it's a wonderful logo. I think it captures so much of our community that we're known for and I think respected for as well. The only thing I would like to add is the holidays are over, and so now we kind of move into this new year, and I'm looking forward to 2022 being one of the best years the city has ever seen. The last 2 years have been difficult for many people, but I believe that we just continue to improve every week. I think every day something new is exciting and happening in this community, and I'm looking forward to this year being one of our best. So, Newton, I think I'd say this on behalf of the commission. We're just glad to be able to serve again this year and look forward to what's coming. The only thing I'd like to add to the birthday celebration is I would like for us to consider a different time to meet for our commission meeting that night. I know I briefly mentioned that earlier, but would just like that out there that I think it'd be wise if we picked a time other than 7 o'clock, considering I think our last activity starts at 7. So I think it'd be great if all of our commissioners could be there instead of
Absolutely.
having to be here. So.
And we have a couple of different options. If there's a true cancellation option, there's an option for a special call meeting either earlier in the day, maybe at lunchtime instead of in the evening, or a different special call day. You know, and if the agenda is not looking too heavy or too time sensitive, we can try to make sure those items go either to the meeting before or after. So give that some thought, and we can make that decision as we get closer if you'd like.
Yeah, and just for the sake of it, February 22nd is significant because it was the day the city was incorporated. So it just happens to be that a city commission and the incorporation falls on the same day. So, all right, thank you to everyone that came. Meeting adjourned.